Luther King Jr. didn't die in some untoward way. He wasn't shot by a jealous lover. He wasn't shot leaving the scene of a crime. This man with an earned PhD degree, with a Nobel Peace Prize, could have been UN ambassador, all the things he could have been university president. And here he is with all these skills, dying on a balcony in Memphis, Tennessee, helping garbage workers. That is so profound.
We pull up to a Texaco station. Dr. King, in the front of the car was Coretta King's cousin, Obie, who was driving. Not Obie. Well, anyway, Coretta King's cousin was driving. And Dr. King was on the right side, front seat. In the back was Andrew Young, myself, and Bernard Lee, who traveled with Dr. King. And we always tried to get Dr. King to sit in the back of the car in the middle, where he'd have more protection. And he would never do that. And so we pull up to the light, and it was Grenada. James Belk, owner of the gas station, saw Dr. King. He was pumping gas. He stopped pumping gas. He walked up to the car, pulled out his pistol, and put it up to Dr. King's temple. Why the driver, Obie was his name, didn't take off, I don't know, but everybody froze. He said, Martin Luther King Jr., you so-and-so, I'm going to blow your effing brains out. Dr. King very calmly turned to him and said, brother, I love you. And that pistol came down. Well, of course, we all probably had heart attacks in all four chambers, and we were pretty put out. See, Dr. King, we told you should ride in the back. You should ride in the back of the car. Look what happened. He very calmly turned to us and said, look, John Fitzgerald had the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and the Secret Service. And they assassinated him. When they're ready for me and my time comes, I'm gone.
We were in the A.G. Gaston Motel meeting, planning the 65 voting rights crusade down in Selma. And one night, we're meeting in room 30. Room 30 was the only great big room they had in the motel. So we always met there. And I was still in Nashville. And I was catching a train going to catch a train that night. And then I decided to stay. I had to be in Athens, Alabama the next day for commencement. And Martin said, stay here tonight. Why don't you just stay here? We're in this big room. We're going to leave, and you're going to Ladner. You stay here and go up to Athens. So I decided to stay. They left. And I was lying in the room by myself, and I heard a train. I said, I'm going home. I'm going to get the train in here. And I jumped up and got my bag, got on the train, went to Nashville. The next day, I drove my family down to Athens. That night, they bombed the motel. And right by the bed where I would have been asleep was a gaping hole that the bomb blasted in the hotel. So I always thank God for letting me decide to go home and get my wife and go to Athens, Alabama the next day. I certainly would have been killed by that bomb.
Up the steps I go, down the steps he comes. His people start pouring out of the building, right, to back him. And my people start coming up the steps with me, right? But we know what's going to happen because we're not going to have a violent encounter. And it's because we won't allow ourselves to have it. They could beat us, but we would not beat back. So we knew that we would slowly take steps backward, until we're back on the sidewalk. Is that and it was on the sidewalk that we go back and forth, and I tell him about you can turn your back on me and can't turn your back on justice. And when right after that, he hits me, right, and knocks me down. He knocks me down. I can feel the people following me then disperse. I can just feel it. I can hear it even, right? And that's what it sounded like, you know. And I know they're gone, and I know they're they're just upset. They don't know what to do. So I don't lay there. I jump right back up. And I really wasn't clear on what to say, but I remember a speech from when we joined World War II, we were senior in high school, and Winston Churchill said, "What kind of people do they think we are? Do they think we will be destroyed by their irony?"
The Montgomery bus boycott was, at the end of the day, not just a protest movement. It was moving people and figuring out schedules and which corner, and you had all these carpools. And if we were to try to do it today, you know, we'd have to have computers and programmers, and we'd have cell phones, and we'd have Blackberries. I mean, they did all of that on the back of their hands, you know? Whose car was gonna have gas, how to pay for it. I mean, it was, and so we don't present this as some huge building of the pyramid. So our children see that this was an enormous accomplishment. I mean, it was more than just getting people to get off their duffs. It was a movement in logistics.
On some level, at some point in our lives, we've got to begin to get people to understand that all that I got from Malcolm and Martin, all that I got from the nation, all that I got from the many nationalist organizations that I belong to, you know, from Buff to you name it, all that I got, I'm putting it to use and saying, but I'm not just going to limit it to a few people. I'm going to take it out to this larger world and say, here he is. You know, I know I teach English. Here he is, you know, and I expect for you, larger world, to understand what I'm saying right now. And that's what I'm doing today. You know, that's where I'm going today. You know, I am insisting that people be human. I'm insisting that they walk upright like human beings. And I don't care if you're black, green, purple, blue, gay, lesbian, I don't care who you be. But the point is that if you're going to stay on this earth is going to demand that you be that you be human, and you walk upright like a human being.
There are a group of young people now don't even know Kenya, don't know nothing about the day of slavery, Jim Crowism, racism. When you couldn't go in certain hotels and could sit at certain large counters and couldn't go to certain schools. And so they just take a lot of this for granted. And it bothers me because when we become complacent, relaxed, we lose. And you have to keep the heat on. Unfortunate. But it is true.
I had become deeply, deeply disenchanted, very concerned about the erosion of values as I saw, you know, those of us who came through the Civil Rights Movement, you know, brought old-fashioned black folks' values with us because our parents had taught them to us. But what I saw that my generation was the disconnected one in one sense because we didn't pass on to our children. We were the generation that stopped it. We didn't pass on to them in the same kind of singular fashion that our parents had passed them to us because it's a different world. I mean, we also spent a lot of time trying to give our kids what we didn't have, and it meant spending less time with them.
Every generation complains about the generation that's in front of them, right? I listen to rap because I try to stay, I want to know what the kids are doing. I know that if it's a train, the track is going to run all the way back to the spirituals, all the way around the corner to the work songs. Rap is a legitimate voice, and it's a legitimate voice of the community. And I learned enough about it to know that.
I did not want to bring up or think about all the things that I went through. And today, I still don't. I still try to put the bad things to the side. And I recognize that those things took place. I don't want to ever see them again. I don't want my children to have to go through it. I don't want children of color to go through what I went through. So that's where I've been, you know. And from there to today, I do see the need to have to tell this story because so many have missed out on why they have what they have today. And I think that we played a part in it.